you, Ashok. Indeed, I'm a firm believer since the mid-90s that you can work differently and that ICT can be a major enabler to deliver and to produce work in a different way. And I was even more convinced that I had the opportunity at that time to put in place the first shared offices in IBM when I was still working for IBM, and we were the first in the world in France to do it for economical reasons. And from that point on, I started thinking, well, there is a lot we can do and that we could do differently and probably deliver quality work and at the same time get a better quality of life. So when I came to India the first time in 2004, I got an idea of a project, and then there was an opportunity to submit a proposal, like this is the process, and I was happy enough to win the proposal and to start the e-Sangatan project, of which all the deliverables are online available. And by the way, we were the first project to produce all deliverables in a wiki format and not anymore in paper format to the Commission. It was quite a big fight to get there because it was still fashion in 2006, 2007, 2008 to deliver a bunch of paper to the Commission. And I said, no, the work that we are doing with India, showing that we can work and deliver differently, we have to do that to you too, and please accept it. And by the way, we were supported by the reviewers, which was quite nice. So the e-Sangatan project is a 2-year support action that started on October 1st in 2006 and ended on September 30, 2008. The basic idea was starting from a certain vision of a social model I found here in the corporate world, and I insist in the corporate world, which means in the structured economy of India, to try to import that social model to Europe, and at the same time using European technologies, well, technologies that were becoming familiar in Europe because they are not necessarily European, but in the work process they were becoming familiar, which are the collaborative working environments, to introduce them in a large corporation in India in order to facilitate and deliver a better quality of life to the aged workers. So the partners were 7. The first phase of the project, I would say it's 2 years, it was more or less 6 months, 1 year and 6 months, was the learning curve on how to use the tools, because there were different collaborative working environments and platforms that were used. The major partner here in India was Mahindra and Mahindra, who of course have their internal tools, and it was the period where they decided to start using SharePoint from Microsoft because they are Microsoft-based users. They were not at all yet in collaborative working environments. So as they agreed to start with a pilot, the pilot started with Microsoft SharePoint, and we were using another platform with the Nordic partners who were based in Denmark and in Sweden, which was a platform they choose. And for the project management itself, we had a third platform. So the idea was also to use the project opportunity to give the ability to the participants of the project to use different platforms to be able to compare, based on the different uses that were made, what could be best and what could be faster to learn depending on the population that you address. The population was mainly, for the 2 pilots, of course, aged workers, because this was the target segment of population. Aging workforce, statistically wise, means the workers aged between 55 and 64. So we had 1 year during which we ran 2 pilots, and then, of course, a final period to analyze all the findings and write a white paper for the Commission. The white paper that you can read online structured the findings in four different sectors: the sociological aspects, the economical ones, the socio-technological and managerial. You can see, as we were mentioning earlier, and it's not a surprise that I'm part of the working group in the societal aspects, ICT is always considered here as an enabler, as a tool, as something that can help or provide a different way of working, but it is not the objective itself of the project or the objective itself towards the population that is targeted. So that's why we didn't produce a specific result on technology. There is a report that compares the use of the three different platforms that we have been using, with very detailed statistics of usages, of learning curve, in order to help people who would be starting the same process in other corporations. But the final outcome is much more on what happens in the organization itself and amongst the workers themselves, with, of course, a major managerial issue, because once you change the work organization, of course, the first resistance is management. Then we brought forward a few recommendations that I will present quickly to you. Some to the Commission. This is not very important here, but the things that we can share together is some to the public bodies, some to the corporations, and some to the workers themselves. Very quickly to the Commission, what we found out, and this is probably something that we will also find out in our work group on societal challenges, is that in fact the topic itself of working for an ICT directorate on a social topic or societal topic was very difficult, because most of the people who were talking to the Commission at that time, they said, yeah, but we don't understand anything about employment, about aging, about demography, about all the social aspects of the project. At the other end, the Directorate General who is in charge of those topics is not at all interested in the ICT aspects that can change the issues that they have to solve. So that was one of the points that we brought forward. Also details on the statistics, because for that segment of population, a span of 10 years is useless, because you have made changes between 55, 60 and within above 60. So the comparisons that you can make from one country to another are meaningless in many cases, because they are directly depending on the legal system related to the retirement. Also to clarify more about knowledge workers, because you will see in all the European publications they talk about knowledge workers, but in fact never you can find that segment really defined and qualified in a way in the publications themselves. Okay, we are going towards a knowledge society. In a knowledge society you have knowledge workers, but when you look at the statistics and the definitions, it's still the very traditional ones that you were using 10 or 15 years ago. For the public bodies, one of the things that we recommended was to implement national ICT training policy for active aging workers with an assessment system. There is a common ground saying, well, people who are aged, they are reluctant to go to technology, which is totally false. They go through, but not the same way that the young people go through. And in many cases in the corporations, they are not trained anymore after 40 years, which is also then a recommendation that we make to the corporations, is that you should really train people at all ages